Hi friends, it's Carly and I am back again with another review. So we have finished 6 consecutive days of Age of Apocalypse X-Men action figure reviews, and today is the final one before our live Colossus review tomorrow night. But before we get to that, we're going to finish looking at the final 2 issues of the mini-series that I was able to get my hands on in the Age of Apocalypse series, and talk very briefly about a new series I'm working on for this channel that I am very excited about. So let's get right into the comic book so we can make it to this review. Where we left off, Saber-Tooth had gone to face Holocaust and got him to reveal the entire dastardly plan about the infinite clone army and all of Apocalypse's plans for the future of culling and taking over the rest of mutant kind. So he gets him to reveal this plan while he's holding on to Wild Child, which Holocaust thinks is just like a creature and doesn't realize that they have this psychic link until it's too late. Saber-Tooth lets Wild Child go and Holocaust realizes it too late, but it appears at the end of that issue that Saber-Tooth is dead. We don't really know what's going on at the end of it. But what we do know is that Wild Child is on his way to Rogue to let her, Shiro, and Blink and Morph know what is going on so that they can come and intervene. So this is one of the weirdest moments. I talked about this in my Sunfire review video, actually not Sunfire, in my Wild Child review video, so I'll link that up here. One of the weirdest moments that really just made me uncomfortable. I feel like Wild Child is such a problematic, bizarre character, but the way that he's able to let Rogue know what is going on is by licking her, because he can't communicate. I'm gonna make sure that focus is right here. He can't communicate in a normal way, but he has absorbed this entire message, and she can absorb mutant powers and all of the memories. We've seen that earlier with her interaction with Shiro when he tells her about what happened in Japan, and that is how she gets the information about where to go. It's pretty gruesome and pretty weird, honestly. I don't really like that part very much. But it turns out that Saber-Tooth is hanging on by a thread. He and Holocaust continue to battle, and Blink remembers and tells everyone about how Saber-Tooth saved her, and she's just more committed than ever to going and rescuing him. In the meantime, Magneto is confronting Bishop with the truth, the reality that if he goes back to stop this timeline, he is going to have to kill Legion. And he asks him if he feels that he'll be able to do that. And Bishop is a moral man, so he wants to do the right thing. He wants to save the world, he wants to save the human race and mutant kind, but doesn't believe he has it in himself to kill anyone. As they're coming to this realization, and Magneto is letting him know then that he is not the man for the job, the nanny bot for his child with Rogue, Charles, I guess the second, wraps him up in an impenetrable cocoon, which is the indication that Apocalypse's plan is coming to fruition and it is time for the final stage of the battle. In the meantime, the rest of the group is headed in a literal Trojan whale, which is Morph turned into a giant blue whale that washes up on to the shore, the battleship of the Infinite Clone Army, and releases all of our X-Men that have been in this issue to actually take on the final battle with Holocaust while Blink goes to rescue Saber-Tooth. Once Blink gets to Saber-Tooth, she realizes or believes that he is dead, and her wrath is no joke. She's ready to kill Holocaust. He completely underestimates her, and she is able to blink him into this like tub of primordial goo. Thinking that he's dead, she joins the rest of the team, who is in the middle of taking out the Infinite Clone Army. And while that's happening, Magneto has actually gone, now that Charles is safe, straight to Apocalypse to end this once and for all if he possibly can. Obviously, that is going to be a very tense interaction indeed, and it's not going well in his favor at this point in the story. The Infinite Army has decided to go ahead with their directive, even though they haven't heard from Apocalypse, and kill the remaining flat scans or humans that are left in their internment camp. At the same time that Blink and the rest of the group discover that she wasn't actually able to kill Holocaust, and He comes back with a vengeance. Everyone is there now, though. It's not Blink by herself. So Morph and Rogue are ready to take him on. Wild Child is there. Sunfire is there. And they're ready to take on Holocaust together. He does get a good blow in on Rogue, but ultimately they are at the advantage, and this part of the story ends with the start of Rogue v Holocaust toward whatever end. So that was like a really kind of surprising ending to me. A bunch of the other X-Men join them, but we really are like still in the thick of battle. And from the research that I've done on this series, because it was a crossover series over so many different titles, that's how they all ended. So it's like it was all just a different stage in the game of our X-Men, different groups of them in different places at different times, taking on the situation as best they could. So that is how this one ends, with other groups of X-Men coming in to join them. It was a really satisfying series, though. It got me more excited than I've ever been about this series, and it had so many of the little moments that I heard about, like especially with the licking Rogue's face part. I talked about that in a previous video, so I feel more drawn than ever to get through this series, which is why I'm so excited that today my Age of Apocalypse complete omnibus, 1,000 plus pages, hardcover, arrived today. This is everything. And I got it, I started flipping through it. I was so bummed, honestly, about the way that the series I was reading ended, and I was like, I have to know more, I have to get my hands on this. I found this book, and this has got me started on the series. Here are all the collected editions in this volume. And I will be doing a comic book education series. And this series will be me reading the actual materials in relation to my action figures, but learning the stories and just talking about what I've learned. So I hope that you guys look forward to something like that. It's something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and I feel like this is the perfect educational opportunity for me. I've wanted to read this series. I have the entire thing in hand now, so I will be breaking this down, doing in-depth talks about every single segment of the story, learning my comic book history, and using my action figures to tell these stories. So I hope that that's something you guys are excited for. I'm excited to do it. I am taking so long to get into the actual review today, but there's a lot of really great things going on. So now we can move into our next figure. We are going to be taking a look at our Iceman. So here he is. This figure is actually really incredible, you guys. We only got to look at Iceman in the first issue. He was at the meeting here with Magneto, letting everybody know that this was going to be an end game type mission. And when Shiro was overwhelmed and his powers were really like taking over him and he couldn't sort of power down and cool off, Iceman steps in that battle to change the atmosphere, literally to change the atmosphere so that Shiro is powered down whether he wants to be or not. And I think this is a really, really fine representation of what we see in this part of the comic. I'm hoping we see more Iceman in other chapters. I'm gonna know that pretty soon. But this, again, after looking at that Cyclops, is an excellent example of an action figure that is simple, it's less is more, and is 100% successful to me. This figure looks so good. And with the, you know, the clear plastic, I've talked about this in the past, that you can really get like sort of a stickiness. This is smooth and really articulate. It's good looking. It seems like some kinks with this particular material have been worked out. The, icicles, I guess you could call it, in his hair are made out of a slightly different plastic, and the airbrushing that's done on it to create the frost effect is so successful. The little icicle sculpts on his arms, the sides of his legs, his back. This does feel a little bit porcupine-y, a little bit maybe like hedgehoggy, like Sonic the Hedgehog to me, but you know, that's just my imagination working overtime, because I think this is a really, really excellent representation of this character. I love the whited out eyes. I love that his whole face is a block of ice, that he doesn't have distinct facial features. It's just satisfying. He looks so good to me just from the sculpt, color, and the light amount of painting that's done on this character. And the articulation is good. So we're not getting any of that. You know, the stickiness that you get when you use this material isn't a real hindrance, but at the same time, I just don't want it. The smoother the better, right? So you can pause in more places in between. You can get exactly the precise positioning that you want on each of the limbs, and you get that with this. He has that really nice slight frame that has all of the articulate points, the one that's like just above the size of what our wild child was and a couple sizes above what a female action figure is. He's got the thigh turn, excellent double jointed knees and feet that are great and work all the way. This is a really good figure. I'm pleased with the way that Bobby looks. I'm pleased with the color and that they took the time to do a little bit of airbrushing just to add that extra depth and detail. This character isn't featured highly in the portion of the book that I read, but as I read, I'm really hoping to see more of him. And I have to say that this series, this being the closer of the series, other than Colossus, which we'll look at live tomorrow, was one of the most satisfying BAF series overall for a storyline that I'm not familiar with. I did not expect much. I was literally just doing it as a bit of fan service, coming back, you know, after having not done reviews for a while, being a little rusty. I wanted to do something that people really wanted to see, and I knew that you guys wanted to see this, and I didn't expect anything after that first series. This is so good to me. Having only a couple of figures, one figure that was really problematic that I didn't like, the Cyclops figure, and one that I kind of wanted to do some tweaking to, the Kitty Pryde, which I did a head swap and have been really pleased with that actually. Every other figure just felt great, and it excited me about the story, inspired me to get to know more about it, and I feel like other than, you know, inviting play by being highly articulate and functional, that's what action figures should do. They should bring you into the story, bring you into the world of the characters, and this series has 100% done that for me. So honestly, bravo to Hasbro on this series. I could not be happier with the figures I got. I forgot to talk about Legion's accessories, which were fists, so I will mention that Bobby also has an additional set of sort of ice claw hands here. But that's all for accessories. I think I might have liked to see some sort of ice blast accessory or an ice, you know, like an iceberg that he could use in some type of way. But I think those types of things are manipulatable with accessories that you have in your collection if you're a big collector. So I'm very, very happy with this figure too. And this has been so much fun. So tomorrow night, you guys, I will be going live to look at the Colossus action figure. We might actually have to amend that, but we will be doing a live stream either tomorrow or Saturday for the Colossus action figure, and we will be doing my very first episode of comic book education next week. This will be, for the first time on this channel, a fully edited video that I'm going to put together with like intros and outros and just everything that I've learned. I am not the best editor yet, but I'm committed and I'm doing my best, and I'm really proud of what I've learned so far. So be kind and please watch the series. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been tons of fun. I cannot wait for the next one, and I will see you soon. Have a great night. Bye, friends.